Hello, here's where we drill until we kill all our mistakes. Alrighty, so our very first problem is 4/5, and we're adding 1/4 to that. So first thing I will do is create two fraction boxes, one that is 5 parts and one that has 4. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Here's my first fraction box, and since the denominator has a 5 there, that means I need to create 4 lines to make 5 parts. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4 lines should give me 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Super. So now I'm going to make another area box, right? And I'm going to do that right here. And there we go. I'm going to just move it up a little bit. And this one is broken into 4 parts, so I'm going to draw 3 lines. So I'll go 1, 2, and 3 lines will give me 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the numerator tells us how many we get out of the 5 parts. In this case, we get 4 out of 5 parts. So I'm going to go ahead and color in 4 out of the 5 parts. And bam, there we have it right there. And now I get 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5. And for this one, I get 1 out of 4. So I'm going to go ahead and create or fill this box in, and now I've got 1 out of 2, 3, 4. And whenever you're adding or subtracting, in this case we're adding, whenever you're adding or subtracting fractions, you have to have common denominators, and because these are different sizes than these. So the first thing I need to do is find my least common multiple, or my LCM. So I'm going to go ahead and write the 5 down and the 4. So I'll write a 5 here and the 4 right there. Next, I will just count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, and 20. And then I'll count by 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20, right? And right here we see that I've got my common multiple right there, and 20 is my common multiple. So that means for the 5th one here, I need to cut this into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. 4 parts means 3 lines. So I'm going to enlarge this so I have a little bit more room. It's easier to work. And I'll make 3 lines. 1, 2, and 3 lines. And now, as you see, that gave me 1, 2, 3, and 4 parts. The other thing it did is cut this each of these into 20 parts. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And that's exactly what I had wanted to do. And now for the fourth box here, I need to cut that into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. So I'm going to enlarge it again so I have room and draw 4 lines, which will create 5 parts. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4 lines, and that will give me 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll see that this gives me 20 little boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So now all I have to do is count these up, right? So I'm going to do that right now. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. Whoops, I wrote that backwards. 21. And right there, my friends, is the answer. So you have 21, and let me just write this down, 21 20ths. And bam, there you have it. Now, this is our illustration. But what's kind of cool here is if you look at this, your numerator is bigger than your denominator. I call that top heavy. It's also called an improper fraction because I can change it into a mixed number. Watch how I do that. And here we go. I'm going to grab 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you see that? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to move them up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I'm going to do that right here. And I'll just put them in green. And now, as you see, I've got one whole here, don't I? So I've got one big whole one. Whoops, I want to do that in black. One big hole there. And then I've also got this 1/20th left, right? So I can write that as, let me just get set up here, 1 and 1/20th. And that is really the same as this, because all I've done is taken these, moved them over here to create one whole here, and then I've got this 1 out of the 20 left. So 1 and 1/20th is the same as 21/21. Hey, let's go ahead and look at the algorithm and how that works. So I'm going to just draw a little squiggly line here, and then we're going to scoot on over here, and we're going to write the algorithm, which is 4/5 plus the 1/4, right? And now, whenever you're adding or subtracting fractions, in this case we're adding, you have to have common denominators, right? So that means I need to multiply each of these by the giant 1. And we multiply it by 1 because anytime you multiply 1 by a number, it gives you that same number. But with fractions, it makes them look a little bit different, right? So now I'm going to look over here to my least common multiple. And for the fifths, that means I'm going to multiply by 1, 2, 3, 4. So the giant 1 of 4/4. So I'm going to put 4/4 here. And for the fourths, I'm going to multiply by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the giant 1 of 5/5. So let me plug those in. 5/5. And that's going to give us some new fractions. And here I have 4 times 4 is going to give me 16. So I'm going to have 16 here. And then 5 times 4 is going to give me 20. So I've got 20 right here, right? And then I'm going to take 1 times 5, and that's going to give me 5 over here. And then I'm going to take 1, I'm sorry, this is a 4. 4 times 5 is going to give me 20 once again, right? So I've got, now, I'm going to draw that line a little further. And now, as you see, I got 20ths in both the denominator spots. And if you notice, for this one I had 16/20, which is what I had here originally with, forget about this top box that I moved from here. I've got 16 here, and that's represented right there. And then here I had 5 before I took these 4 away, and that's represented right there. That's kind of cool, huh? So anyway, here we go, I'm going to take 16 plus 5, and that's going to give me 21. And then you always just drop the denominator down, because that just tells us how many parts we've cut each of these boxes into. So I'm going to drop the 20th down here. And as you see, 21/20 agrees with our illustration right there of 21/20. Hey, if you made a mistake anywhere along the way, no worries at all, my friend. Simply pause the video, fix your mistake. That is the fastest way to learn. And now, let's move on to our second problem. Alrighty, and here we go with our second problem, 7/8 plus 2/3. So the very first thing I want to do is create a couple of fraction boxes here, right? And for this first one, I've got 8 as my denominator, which means I'm going to draw 7 lines to create 8 parts. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that should give me 8 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and sure enough, 8 parts. Now I get 7 out of those 8, so I'm going to color in 7 out of the 8. So I'm going to just draw my box right there. And now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 8. Now I'm going to create the 2/3. So I'm going to draw another box right next to it here. And for this one, I'm going to draw 2 lines to create 3 parts. So let me go ahead and go 1 line and 2 lines, and sure enough that gives me 1, 2, 3 parts for my denominator, and I'm going to fill in 2 out of those 3 parts. So let's go ahead and do that right now, and I'll fill in 2 out of the 3 parts, and bam, there you have it. I've got 1, 2 out of 3. So now the first thing I got to do, actually I've already done the first thing, so Now I'm moving on to the second thing, and that is my least common multiple, or LCM, right? And I'm going to use the 8 and the 3 because those are my denominators, right? So first I'll count by 8s. I'm going to give myself a little more room here. And I've got 8, then 16, then 24, and then 32. And next I'll count by 3s. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and I ran out of room here. And then I'll just do my last one, which is, bam, 24, and bingo, 24 agrees with our 24 right there. And now we're good to go. So in order to make these boxes the same size, I've got to cut this one into 1, 2, 3 parts, which will make it 24 parts. So let's go ahead. 3 parts means 2 lines, so I'm going to draw 1 line here and 1 line here, and that's going to give me, I got 1 part here, 2, and 3 parts, right? But then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Bam! That's exactly what I was looking for. So now for this one, here I'm going to cut it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 parts. And in order to do that, I better enlarge it, right? 8 parts means 7 lines. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 lines. And that should give me 8 parts. So I've got 1 part, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, my voice is cracking, and 8. Super. But I should have 24 little boxes. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and bam! 24. Superb. So now all I have to do is count these up, right? So I'm going to do that right now. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, that's ugly 7, 28, 29, and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37. So 37, and those are 24ths. 37 24ths is your answer. So let's go ahead and shrink this so we can see. So our answer, we actually already have it. It's 37 24ths. But let's go ahead and create our algorithm and make sure that our algorithm agrees with our illustration over here. And so when I do the algorithm, I'm going to write 7/8, and I'm going to add 2/3, right? But since these have different denominators, the very first thing I got to do is multiply each of these by the giant 1, right? Because we know that if your fractions have different denominators, if they are uncommon, the first thing you got to do is make them common, right? So I've already done my 8s here, and I know that I got to multiply by 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to do the giant 1 of 3 over 3. So I'm going to write 3 over 3 right there, and that's going to give me a new fraction. And let's go ahead and move this. And then 7 times 3 is going to give me 21, right? And that's going to be 8. 8 times 3 is 24, right? So I've got 21 24ths right there. And then I'm going to multiply this. Oh, I need more room here. This 2/3, I got to multiply by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The giant one of 8 over 8. So I'm going to enlarge that so I have a little more room. And write 8 over 8. And that's going to give me a new fraction. 2 times 8 is going to give me 16. And then 3 times 8 is going to give me 24. And bam, as you see, I have common denominators of 24, right? Now, the other thing that's cool here is if you look here, you can see that this first one right here, 21/24 is represented right here. I got 21 out of the 24. And then the 16/24 is, this is 8 and another 8 is 16. So this 16/24 is represented right here. Now, when I add these together, I'm going to get a new fraction and I'll get the answer. And it better be the same as my illustration, right? And if I take 1 plus 6, that's going to give me 7. So I'm going to drop my 7 there. And then if I take 2 plus 1, that's going to give me 3, right? So I'm going to get 37 over 24. And let's go ahead and look at what we got for our illustration. And sure enough, I got 37/24 there and there. So my algorithm agrees with my illustration, which is always groovy, my friend. Hey, let's go ahead and look at, because I talked about this earlier, this is top heavy or an improper fraction, which means I can turn it into a mixed number, right? And let's watch it, what happens when I do that, right? So I've got 3 spots, 1, 2, 3 spots right here that I could take away from here, right? So I'm going to grab these 3, 1, 2, 3. So let me just grab those 3, and I'm going to do it like this. Watch how I do this. It's kind of cool. So I'm going to grab those 3, and then I'm going to move them and put them right here. Whoops, I want to do it like this. Bam, right there. And now, this is very cool. As you can see, I've got one whole here, right? So that's one whole. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I've got 1 and 13/24, right? So that is the reduced form. Hey, when I talk about fractions, I always say you can say it in 3 ways. 37/24, 37 out of 24, or 37 divided by 24. And let me show you what would happen if I did 37 divided by 24. And if I did that, 24 would go in there one time, which would give me 24. And when I subtract, I get 7 minus 4 is going to give me 3. And then I got 3 minus 2, which is going to give me 1. And that becomes my remainder, or I just put it over the divisor here, the 24. So it's 13/24, right? And here, as you see, 1 and 13/24 is the same as what we got for our illustration there. And that, my friends, is very cool. Hey, if you made a mistake anywhere along the way, no worries at all, my friend. Pause the video, fix your mistake. That is the fastest way to learn. Until next time, well, actually, I'm going to see you in a minute on our next problem. So have a great time until like a second from now. Okay, bye. And look at that. Here we are back again. Hey, this problem is 4/7 plus 11/14. And the first thing I want to do is go ahead and create a fraction box, right? And I'm going to make, if I want to make sevenths, that means I got to draw 6 lines here. So I'm going to just go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 lines. Should give me 7 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Fantastic. Now on this one I got to make 14 parts. So this one will be tricky. I'm going to show you how I outwit this fraction box here, right? And my super secret trick is to just make this really big. So anyway, I've got to draw 13 lines because I got 14 parts. So I'm going to go, I got to first go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Lines should give me 14 parts, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 parts. Bam! Exactly what I wanted. Okay, so now for this first one, I get 4 out of the 7. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to color them in till there. And let's go. That is it right there. And let's double check. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5, 6, and 7. Perfect. And this one I've got 11 out of the 14. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So I'm going to just color those in right here and just go. I think this is it. Let's double check when I'm done here. And just double check that I've got the 11. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Super! Yeah, it gets a little tricky when you got those small little lines. At any rate, so that's our first step. Now I've got to look for my least common multiple, right? And that's called my LCM. So I'm going to put the 7 right here, and then the 14 right here. And then if I count by 7s, I'm going to get it right away. 7, and then bam, 14. Lovely. See, those are matching. So that means all I have to do is cut this fraction here into 2 parts, because 1, 2, right? So I'm going to draw one line to create 2 parts going up and down. And now I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 14. What? I said that fast. Do it again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then 14. I went crazy for a minute, didn't I? And these are already in 14ths. So now all I have to do is count these bad boys up, and I'm going to make this a little larger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That 13 looks like a 17. So now it looks good. 14, we got 15 here, then 16, then 17, then 18, and 19. Our answer is 19 14ths. Bam! There you have it. So let's go ahead and look at the algorithm, and we'll do that right over here. So I'm going to go whoosh, and then I'm going to go 4 sevenths plus 11 14ths. Since our fractions have uncommon denominators, I got to first multiply by the giant 1, right? So I'm going to multiply by the giant 1 for both of these fractions, right? And so if I look here, for the sevenths, I'm going to multiply by 1, 2. So the giant 1 of 2 over 2, right? And then for the 14ths, I'm just going to multiply it by the giant 1 of 1 over 1. I really don't even need to multiply it because it's going to stay the same, right? So let's go ahead and make a little more room here. And now I'm going to put my equal sign, and 4 times 2 is going to give me 8 over here. So I've got 8. And then 7 times 2 is going to give me 14 at the bottom, 14. And then I got 11 times 1 is going to give me 11. And 14 times 1 is going to give me 14. And bam, right there, I've got common denominators, which is exactly what I'm looking for. And if you notice right here, the 8 14ths is right here. I got 8 out of 14. And the 11 are these 11 here, right? So now I can just add these up. And when you're working with fractions, you only add the numerators, and the denominators just tell us how many parts they're cut into. So 8 plus 11 is going to give me 19, right? And then I'm going to just drop the 14ths. And 19 14ths agrees with our illustration, which is lovely, right? Hi, but I want to show you something because this is a top-heavy or improper fraction, right? which means I can turn this into one whole and then also have a few left over. All right, I'm going to grab these two right here, and then I'm also going to grab this one right here. And so now I've got 3 that I'm going to grab and move right up here. And now this is one full one, right? So I've got one whole, whoops, I'm going to do that in black, one whole here. And then I've got these 5 over here, right? So I've got 1 and 5/14, right? And bam. All right, so now let's see how that works with the algorithm. As I always say, you can say fractions in 3 ways. 19/14, 19 out of 14, which is what we did over here, right? And then you can also say 19 divided by 14. And if we do that, let's just go ahead right over here and go 19 divided by 14. And that's going to go in there one time, which will give me 14, right? And when I subtract, 9 minus 4 is going to give me 5. And then I just put that as my numerator. And my divisor right here goes as my denominator, right? So I get 1 and 5/14, which, as you see, agrees with our illustration right there. 1 and 5/14. Bam! There you have it. Hey, if you made a mistake anywhere along the way, no worries at all, my friend. Simply pause the video, fix the mistake. That is the fastest way to learn. And now, let's move on to our last problem of the day. And here we go. 8/9 plus 1/2. And so the first thing I want to do is go ahead and create my fraction box. So I'm going to make a fraction box right there and move it a little out of the way. And this one I want to break into 9 parts, which means I'm going to draw 8 lines. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 lines will give me 9 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Fantastic. Then I'm going to add in another area box right here. And we'll just go just like that. And this one is broken into 2 parts, which means I just have to draw one line right here. And bam, there we have it. So now I get 8 out of 9 here. So I'm going to go ahead and color in 8 out of those 9. And try and make that as close as I can. And then over here, I get 1 out of 2, right? So I'm going to color in one of those boxes, right? Bam! There you have it. Now, as you know, with fractions, we have to have common denominators, right? And these are certainly not common, right? So I have to find my LCM, which stands for least common multiple, my friend. And I'm going to draw my 9 right here and my 2 right there. And I'm going to count by 9s first. So I'll go 9, 18, and 27, right? And then I'm going to count by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Bam! There we have it. The 18 works, right? So now that means for these 9ths, I got to cut it into 1, 2 parts. Simple Simon, Metapieman, and bam! Right here I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. 18 parts. Fantastic. For this one, I got to cut it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 parts. So I'm going to enlarge this and go ahead and cut 9 parts. Means 8 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Bam! That should give me 9 parts. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 parts. That should give me 18 total boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and bam, 18. Perfect, my friend. So now all I have to do is count all these parts up, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and bam, 25. I got 25. So I got 25 out of, and remember, we cut these into 18ths, right? So I got 25 out of 18, which is our answer, right? It's top heavy though, so it's an improper fraction. I'll change that in a minute. But the very first thing I want to do, or actually I've already done the first thing. The next thing I want to do is create my algorithm. And here we go. So I'm going to write the 8/9 right there. And I'm going to add in the 1/2 right here. And as you see, we have uncommon denominators, right? So I need to multiply by the giant 1 for both of these, right? So I'm going to multiply by the giant 1, multiply by the giant 1. And once again, the reason we do that is because anytime you multiply by 1, you get the same number. However, it's going to look different as a fraction, right? And so let's move on and do that, right? So now if I have the 8/9, that means I'm going to multiply this by 1, 2. So the giant 1 of 2 over 2. And let's put our 2 in there and our 2 right there. And then I'm going to multiply the 2, the 1/2, by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So the giant 1 of 9 over 9. Perfect. Okay, now let's give us a little more room. And here we go. We're going to take 8 times 2 is going to give me 16. Bam. And then 9 times 2 is going to give me 18. And if you notice, that's right here, the 16/18, right? So 16/18, and then we'll get this one right here over here. So watch. I take 1 times 9 is going to give me 9. And then 2 times 9 is going to give me the 18. And bam. And if you notice, I've got 9 across here, and they're cut into 18 parts. So 9/18, 9/18. And now, let's go ahead and simply add because I've got common denominators. So I can add. And if I take 6 and 9, and that will give me 15. I'm going to drop my 5 and carry my 1 right there. And then I've got 1 and 1 is 2, and nothing is going to stay 2, right? So I got 25 over 18, because with the fractions, you just drop the denominator, right? Because it just tells us how many parts we cut each of these boxes into. So let's take a look here, and sure enough, 25/18 agrees with our algorithm, actually our illustration of 25/18. Bam! I love it. Hey, but this is, as I said earlier, a top-heavy or improper fraction, which means I can make a whole lot of this. Now, I'm going to do that right here. Watch what I do here. So I'm going to take 2 of these, because I got to fill in these 2 spots here. So I'm going to grab 2 of these here, okay? So let's just grab, let's see what I want to grab here. I'm going to grab these 2 here. Boom. So they're gone, right? And then I'm going to move them right over here, and bam. And now this is 1 whole, right? Oops, I always do that. I want to do it in black. That's 1 whole, perfect. And then over here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I got 7/18 right there. So I actually have 1 and 7/18. And bam! So now let's go ahead and look at the algorithm again. And as I always say, you can think of fractions in 3 ways. 25/18, 25 out of 18 parts, right? Or 25 divided by 18. And that's what we're going to do right here. we're going to take 25 and divide it by 18. And 18 will go in there one time, which will give me 18, right? And then I'm going to subtract. I need to make a little more room. And I got trouble coming, don't I? So I'm going to borrow from this 2, turn this into 15, and turn this into 1. 15 minus 8 is going to give me 7. I love it. And then I've got 1 minus 1 zeros out, so I can just take my remainder and I'm going to put it over my divisor. So I've got, as you see, 1 and 7/18, which agrees with our illustration right there of 1 and 7/18. And oh my goodness, you gotta love that. Hey, if you made a mistake anywhere along the way, no worries at all, my friends. Pause the video, fix your mistake. That is the fastest way to learn. Until next time, I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you soon.